How many times have you been told that all it takes to become rich is to work more? And how many times, even exhausted, did you remain trapped in the same cycle? Then perhaps the problem was never the work, but the way you think. And those who understand this have already begun to multiply. Observe with coldness. Money does not obey morality. It obeys the mind that understands it. Since man discovered the value of gold, he has believed that money is a matter of luck, work, or merit. But Machiavelli would understand something else. Money is merely the visible form of an invisible war, the war between minds that control and minds that obey. The naive err in believing that money is the payoff of virtue or hard work. The perceptive understand it as nothing more than a reflection of mental control. Because gold, like any symbol of power, obeys an unseen principle, it consistently flows toward those who can stay composed while others react. The ordinary man mistakes activity for advancement. He rushes, bargains, exposes himself, yet every action turns into mere noise. He spends to demonstrate capability, displays to gain attention, indebts himself to earn admiration. And without noticing, he becomes enslaved by his own performance. Machiavelli would recognize this immediately. What seems strong draws in. What seems desperate pushes away. This is why the perceptive do not pursue money. They pull it toward them. They interpret intentions, foresee behaviors, and decode fears. While others try to acquire, they study what makes others lose. Wealth is simply the byproduct of accurately understanding human desire. Machiavelli never wrote directly about economics, but if he had, he might have titled it "The Mind That Commands Money." Because money is the tangible expression of the psychological hierarchy between minds. The weak look for security. The strong seek comprehension. In this video, you will uncover 3 psychological strategies the perceptive use to multiply what the naive forfeit. These are not tricks. They are governing principles of the mind. I will not show you how to work harder, but how to think differently. Once you hear them, your perception of money will not remain the same, because you will see that it is not a goal, but an instrument of control. But before learning to dominate money, it is necessary to understand why most people lose it. Money was never the real problem. The weak mind is. It is what turns gold into poison and progress into ruin. The common man believes that money solves his insecurity, but it is precisely that insecurity that makes him lose everything. He does not spend to live, he spends to prove that he exists. He buys attention, status, euphoria, and calls this success. He lives exhausted, trying to convince the world of a value that even he does not believe he possesses. The weak are not chasing wealth. They are chasing an audience. They crave attention, validation, recognition. Their mind operates like an exposed storefront, ready to trade anything for the illusion of being noticed. And because of that, the more they reveal, the more vulnerable they become. What they earn is not allocated, it is exhibited. And once something is exhibited, it loses value because it becomes foreseeable. Why don't we exist in a time where people showcase their possessions and conceal their debts? Where power is judged by appearance, and the illusion of power outweighs power itself. Every act of display becomes a psychological blueprint handed over to the system. Every declaration of financial independence is a signal inviting manipulation. The market does not go after those who possess. It targets those who crave excessively. Because uncontrolled desire exposes fragility. Those who aim too high without structure, who reveal too much without discipline, who speak excessively without intention. These are the ones most easily targeted by those who actually hold power. While fools take pride in what they purchase, true strategists acquire what others have not yet recognized as valuable. While some waste energy and urgency, others build power quietly. Wealth does not expand through haste. It expands through interpretation. The naive mind assumes wealth is numerical. The Machiavellian mind knows it is political, an unseen conflict of perception, where whoever controls the lens of others prevails. And as long as you keep believing that money responds to effort, you will remain trapped in illusion. Gold does not follow those who work harder. It follows those who understand the rules. And understanding the rules demands a cost. Silencing impulse and confronting the discomfort of realizing how deeply you still think like someone who has nothing. Before continuing, pause. Silence the noise. Take a deep breath and observe what is within you. The money you seek is not in the world. It is in the way you think. If what you read disturbs you, it is a sign that you still think like a poor man. Poverty begins in haste and ends in explanation. Those who justify their failures rarely overcome them. Those who grow do not speak, they calculate. This is not about motivation. It is about dominance. And dominance is not learned. It is practiced. If you have made it this far, you have already entered the mental field of those who do not seek wealth. They produce it. Now prove that you are awake. Write in the comments, "My mind produces gold. It is not to be seen. It is to mark the beginning." From here on, nothing will be advice. Everything will be strategy. And every strategy requires a code. And the first code is this: money does not follow effort. It follows perceived power. Money does not follow effort. It follows the perception of power. This is the law that governs the invisible game of those who truly accumulate. It does not move toward those who work more, nor toward those who desire more. It moves toward the one who conveys dominance, even in silence. Machiavelli said that men judge more with their eyes than with their intelligence. This phrase is the backbone of the entire modern economy. The market is not an arena of merit, it is an arena of perceptions. What appears strong attracts. What appears needy repels. That is why the exhausted worker, even if honest, remains trapped at the base of the pyramid, while the cold strategist, who speaks little and projects stability, makes capital bend without needing to run. Money is a form of social energy. It flows from those who fear it to those who dominate it. And dominance here is psychological. The common man seeks money as one seeks validation. He works more, explains more, promises more, but he is never perceived as indispensable. And that is precisely why, even while producing, he remains poor. Value does not originate in what you produce. It emerges from how your presence is interpreted by the world. The most perceptive grasped that wealth is not something attained. It is an illusion that is carefully maintained. Money follows the story of power, and whoever dictates that story directs the flow. True power consists in leading others to believe they depend on you, even when they do not. 9. This is what Machiavelli described as a useful illusion. It belongs to the realm of perception. Seeming indispensable yields more than actually being so. Those who chase money emotionally lose it within the instability of their own desire. Those who approach it with detachment reshape their surroundings until capital is drawn to their steadiness. Gold carries no morality. It does not favor the righteous. It gravitates toward the composed. And this is the harshest divide between the ordinary man and the Machiavellian. One is driven by the fear of loss, the other by the calculation of gain. The economy is a stage. Roles are assigned to those who can keep their gaze unwavering while others give in to panic. That is why urgency always signals weakness. Those who feel compelled to prove their worth diminish it. Those who remain calm expand it. Machiavelli understood that power is constructed through perception. The same holds true for money. What carries authority is listened to. What appears desperate is taken advantage of. That is why strategists do not focus on profit. They focus on control. They understand that wealth is nothing more than the reverberation of influence. The Machiavellian mind understands that money is a tool of psychological domination. The objective is not to accumulate numbers, but to acquire margin of maneuver, the power to say no. This is what the common man never understands. He does not want wealth, he wants approval. And whoever seeks approval is always for sale. The law is simple, but few can endure applying it. Money is not conquered, it is seduced. And what seduces it is coldness. The presence that does not beg, that does not explain, that does not run. The presence that attracts because it does not need. From this point on, the dynamic changes. Money ceases to be a prize and becomes a servant. But to dominate this energy, it is necessary to see an example that proved this law in practice, centuries before Machiavelli described it. Centuries before Machiavelli wrote about power, a man had already understood it with surgical precision. His name was Jacob Fugger, the banker who financed empires, crowned kings, and controlled wars without ever wielding a sword. While armies killed each other over territory, he bought time. And whoever buys time, buys the future. Fugger grasped very early that wealth does not grow by chance, but by interpretation. While rulers clashed over prestige, he positioned himself within the obligations of both sides. If one triumphed, he collected. If one fell, he acquired their promises. His arena was fear. He did not trade in products. He dealt in certainty. And certainty, for those terrified of losing authority, is beyond valuation. A competing merchant, driven by ego, attempted to challenge him. He circulated gossip, pushed his operations faster, and displayed himself publicly in markets and gatherings, striving to look more powerful than he truly was. Fugger remained unmoved. He simply observed as the man sank into debt, trying to uphold his own illusion. And when that illusion collapsed, Fugger acquired everything: networks, connections, and even his name, all purchased at the cost of desperation. That is what separated the ordinary man from the strategist. One moved by ego, the other by precision. Soon after, Machiavelli would state that men are driven more by the fear of losing than by the desire to gain. Fugger had already internalized this as a principle. He recognized that fear is the most valuable currency in existence. That real power is not in ownership, but in making others afraid of losing what they hold. While the rival exposed himself to Project Wealth, Fugger withdrew to Project Neutrality. Neutrality is control in its purest disguise. Silence safeguards power. Those who speak excessively expose their intentions. Those who react excessively reveal weakness. Fugger mastered the art of disappearing, and disappearance is the highest form of authority. The rival's downfall was unavoidable, and with it came the insight. Wealth is not built on numbers, but on managed perception. The man who tries to look wealthy drowns in debt. The one who understands human desire governs in silence. Fugger knew that the most secure fortune is the one that remains unseen. His wealth was not the accumulated gold, it was the invisibility he built. While everyone fought for prestige, he bought what sustained the prestige of others. And in the end, all kings were indebted to the man who never needed a crown. The true empire is not made of walls or flags. It is made of minds indebted by their own vanity. And it is precisely here that the transition is born between what is known and what is done. Because understanding the law is one thing, applying it is another. It is in the method that gold changes hands. The astute do not believe in luck, they believe in structure. Now they know that money does not grow through impulse, it grows through strategy. And every strategy is born from three invisible tactics: information, perception, and time. These are the three instruments of mental dominance over the economy. Tactic 1: invisible conquest. Information as a weapon. Money is not earned, it is anticipated. The most intelligent do not compete for opportunities, they create them before they exist. True financial power is born from the monopoly of information. Whoever reads first, decides first. The common man consumes news. The Machiavellian reads intentions. He observes who speaks, not what is said. He asks himself, who profits if I believe this? And almost always discovers that other people's emotion is the most expensive product on the market. The cold mind does not react to what happens. It deciphers what is about to happen. It understands that every headline is a delayed reflection of a movement that has already been decided in silence. Therefore, it does not seek to be the first to act, but the first to understand. Information is territory, and whoever dominates it sets the price of the future. Tactic 2: perception dominance, authority as currency. Money flows to where there is trust, and trust is merely a refined form of perception. The market, like men, judges more with the eyes than with intelligence. That is why the astute becomes authority before being recognized as competent. He understands that the appearance of power is worth more than real power. The common man tries to prove value. The Machiavellian projects it. He does not sell. He creates the fear of not having access. When he does not explain, he lets silence speak for him. The world is governed by those who understand the value of mystery. In every negotiation, whoever speaks less gains more. Because money seeks calm, and calm is born from control. The rule is simple. Do not try to convince. Make others want to be convinced. Authority is not imposed, it is perceived. And once perceived, it becomes capital. Tactic 3: strategic patience, time as a multiplier. Haste is the creed of the poor. It is the most concealed expression of desperation. Wealth expands in silence, and those who grasp this understand that time is the ultimate amplifier of power. The impatient reap too soon. Strategists wait for others to break. The market moves as a cycle of shared desperation. Those who command time do not fall into panic. They observe, delay, and accumulate. Machiavelli defined this as virtù, acting at the precise moment, never prematurely. Knowing when to refrain from action is among the highest forms of dominance. Acquire when others are selling, hold when others are fleeing. Speak only after silence has already created leverage. This is the discipline of the cold mind. Wealth flows toward those who recognize the unseen rhythm of chaos. Those who multiply wealth are not the most intelligent. They are the least reactive. Information, perception, and time. 3 instruments, 3 filters, 3 keys. Whoever masters them does not become wealthy by chance. They forge their own mind into an empire. And it is when this mind awakens that something shifts. Because money ceases to be the goal and becomes the consequence. When these three laws converge within you, something realigns at its core. It is no longer about chasing money, but about generating power. And once power is present, money simply trails behind it, like a compliant shadow. The average man hunts for opportunities. The Machiavellian constructs the terrain where they emerge. The gap between them is not fortune, but perception. A mind conditioned for dominance starts to read the world as a board. Every fear becomes an opening. Every external emotion, a form of currency. Every silence, an instrument. Control stops being a method and turns into instinct. You no longer simulate calm. You are calm. You no longer avoid mistakes out of fear. You induce mistakes in others through strategy. In this condition, money stops being something you must pursue. It begins to flow naturally towards you, like water obeying gravity, because money is drawn to those who radiate stability and withdraws from those who operate from lack. What the average man labels as luck is, in reality, the accumulation of calculated decisions made while others were clouded by emotion. True dominance is unseen. It does not announce itself, does not justify, does not seek recognition. It simply moves, and the world responds. The cold mind does not labor for money. It codes money to serve it. This is the reversal that divides the managed from the one who manages. And once you grasp this, there is no reversal. The way you think transforms. The way you perceive transforms. Everything that once felt out of reach becomes foreseeable. Because the one who masters the game is no longer a piece, and the one who is no longer a piece directs the board. But the process does not end here, because power, on its own, is not the destination. It is the threshold of a new ritual, the ritual of the call. Now you understand what was always hidden. Money is merely the shadow of mental power, and whoever controls perceptions controls the invisible gold that moves the world. The weak seeks quick return, the astute seeks slow dominance, and that is why fools speak of luck, while strategists speak of rhythm. Today, you saw that wealth is not number, it is reading. That haste impoverishes, and silence multiplies. That information is territory, perception is currency, and time is the supreme multiplier. Whoever masters these three transforms the mind into an empire. But dominance is not theory. It is practice. It is a way of living. A constant posture in the face of chaos. In the one who thinks with coldness governs even the unpredictable. And when they govern the unpredictable, there is no longer crisis. There is opportunity. If this truth pierced you, write in the comments, "My mind produces gold," not out of superstition, but as an affirmation of command. Because money obeys the cold, and the cold obeys control. Fortune is not outside. It is in the way you think. Comment, subscribe. The next videos are already on the screen. Continue your mental training.